In the dim light of her living room, Maria Reyes sat curled on the worn edge of her couch, the fabric rough against her fingertips as she held a frayed concert ticket for George Strait in her hand. The ink outlining the date felt like a ghostly mark on her heart. A date meant for two now lay heavy with the weight of loss. The promise of an evening filled with music, laughter, and love echoed starkly against the sharp silence that surrounded her. Her gaze flickered around the room, landing on the empty chair beside her, Carlos's chair. Memories flowed in like an unstoppable tide, dragging her deeper into the currents of what once was. She could almost hear Carlos's laughter, easy and bright, weaving through the air like a familiar melody. The two of them had danced in this very room, their bodies swaying to the sweet strains of George Strait's voice, a soundtrack to their love story. "Just imagine hearing him live, Maria," Carlos had said, his eyes sparkling with excitement when he first learned about the concert. "We'll go together, just us, just like our dreams." The warmth of those words filled her with both comfort and grief. Now they lingered, haunting her like a refrain she could no longer sing. Yet as the minutes slipped through her fingers, the shadows of despair crept in, threatening to suffocate her. The idea of attending the concert alone sent shards of panic racing through her chest. What if she crumbled under the weight of their memories, drowned in the crowd? What if she felt more lost than ever, drowning in laughter while her heart played a mournful tune? She tightened her grip on the ticket, her pulse quickening as the realization struck her. She was at a crossroads. Would she honor Carlos's memory by staying in this suffocating silence, or would she step out into the world of memories and melody? With a sharp intake of breath, Maria felt a flicker of resolve ignite deep within. She could almost hear Carlos's voice urging her, letting the music be a balm, a way to keep his spirit alive. "Okay," she whispered to herself, the decision firming into her bones. "I'll go." With determination beating like a drum in her heart, she grabbed her keys and stepped out into the night. The drive to the arena was a blur, illuminated only by the flickering streetlights and fading sunset. Each passing mile brought her closer, yet her heart fluttered between excitement and fear, a precarious dance that left her breathless. As she approached the venue, the distant sound of music beckoned her, a familiar siren call that filled her with a mix of hope and dread. The gates swung open, welcoming throngs of fans with open arms, yet the energy that sparkled around her felt like a heavy wave crashing against the shore of her sorrow. Instead of being swept into the joy and anticipation, she found herself standing still, paralyzed by the thought of facing this crowd without Carlos. As she moved forward, Maria felt as if uncertainty wrapped around her like a shroud. Amid the laughter and excitement, she could sense her heart turning into a silent rock, casting her as an invisible specter. Was she strong enough to face the echoes of his absence among the joyful melodies? The question hung in the air, a fragile thread woven into the fabric of the night. With each step forward, the breath of hope whispered softly in her heart, urging her to embrace the bittersweet beauty of this moment. The city lights glimmered around her like stars trying to illuminate the darkness, and Maria, despite her trepidation, decided to step into the arena of memories, ready to confront both the joy and sorrow intertwined within life's great melody. As Maria entered the arena, a swell of sound enveloped her. The clamor of voices blended with the beat of the music reverberating through the walls, igniting a spark within her soul. Yet amidst the throng of jubilant fans, she felt isolated, as if the joyous cacophony were a distant echo, a world she no longer belonged to. She clutched the ticket tightly, a lifeline anchoring her to a moment that felt increasingly surreal. Amid the noise and flashing lights, a wave of memories rolled in, sweeping her back to simpler times. Afternoons spent in their cozy living room, wrapping themselves in the warmth of shared dreams and music. She could almost see Carlos, his playful smile dancing in the soft amber glow of their first home together. They had owned a couple of worn lawn chairs, their makeshift seats in front of a small record player filled with George Strait tapes. The sound of the country star's voice would fill the air as they danced, lost in their own little world. "Do you remember this one?" Carlos would ask, playfully holding her waist. "It's going to be our song forever." He twirled her around until laughter burst forth, mixing with the melodies that played on repeat. They had always dreamed of attending a live concert, but life had swept them into its unpredictable currents, work obligations, family responsibilities, and the everyday routines that left little room for extravagant plans. Now, as the crowd buzzed with excitement, The memory of that shared dream only deepened her sorrow, a shimmering thread woven through her heart. "Come on, Ma, let's dance." Carlos had laughed, pulling her into the rhythm of life while twirling her around the living room. In those tight moments, time seemed to stand still, and nothing existed outside their embrace. She closed her eyes, feeling the shadow of their past wrap around her like a warm hug. Her heart, a fragile vessel, yearned to hold on to those moments forever. Yet here she was, alone in a sea of voices, longing for his presence by her side. The cacophony of cheerful anticipation shattered her reverie as Maria caught sight of a couple nearby. They were laughing, their faces radiant with joy. The man raised his arms, inviting the crowd to join in song as George Strait's music began to pulse through the arena. Maria's heart ached, realizing she was surrounded by a world that spun with life and love, but which felt achingly foreign without Carlos to share it with. Swallowing the lump in her throat, she sought solace in a familiar face. Just then, she spotted Elena Martinez, her best friend, making her way through the crowd. Elena's head bobbed as she navigated her way through, a beacon of light amid the swirling darkness Maria felt inside. "Maria!" Elena's voice rang out over the thrumming music, her smile bright as she drew closer. "You made it." "Just barely," Maria replied, forcing a smile. Her insides twisted with both relief and apprehension as they embraced. Elena's warm hug brought a semblance of comfort, yet Maria couldn't shake the dread that clung to her like a shadow. "You were brave to come alone," Elena said, holding Maria's gaze with unwavering support. "But you don't have to be alone tonight. Let's enjoy this together. Remember, this is what Carlos would have wanted." The sincerity in Elena's eyes flickered a spark inside Maria. "He'd want to share the experience, not have me sulk in the corner," she murmured, half to herself. As they moved closer to the stage, Maria observed the crowd around her. Couples swayed in unison, friends laughed and sang, and the energy pulsed with life. The powerful connection of music began to weave into her heart, compelling her to release her tight grip on sorrow. Amid the vibrant energy, the memory of Carlos's laughter beckoned her to embrace her present, to remember the joy they had shared. "Come on, Maria," she whispered internally. "Feel it. Celebrate him through the music." As they reached their spot just a few rows back from the stage, the lights dimmed and a hush fell over the crowd. Heart pounding, Maria felt a rush of anticipation, gratitude and longing swirling within. As George Strait stepped onto the stage, the spotlight illuminated him like a celestial being, fueling her energy with a sense of purpose. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he called out, his voice smooth as honey, resonating deep within her soul. "We're going to have a great time, but let's not forget the special stories that bring us together." At those words, Maria's heart fluttered. She could practically feel Carlos's presence, encouraging her to let go of the chains of grief that had bound her for so long. Each song reverberated through her body, pulling her closer to the shared experiences they had cherished together. It felt as if George were singing just for her, weaving a thread of connection to Carlos that transcended time and space. As the music swelled around her, she closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment. The memories of Carlos, the laughter, the dancing, flooded through her, blending with the notes reverberating in the air. She clung to those moments as the melody played on, feeling the edges of her sorrow begin to soften. Could the ghosts of their love guide her to embrace the present? She contemplated as the first notes of their favorite song, "I Cross My Heart," filled the air. In that instant, the music and her memories intertwined, whispering promises of healing and hope. With every chord, Maria felt the embrace of love wrap around her once more, urging her to remember that the connection they shared could transcend the veil of loss, guiding her from the depths of despair into the light of newfound strength. As the concert continued, Maria allowed the music to envelop her, transcending the grief that had wrapped itself around her heart. The lively atmosphere pulsed with energy, and she caught herself swaying to the beat, relishing in moments that tugged at joyous memories of Carlos. Yet, as the song shifted, that buoyancy faded like smoke, and she found herself caught in a painful spiral. Elena, her friend, radiated joy beside her, recounting memories of prior concerts with glee. But amid the laughter and chatter, Maria felt like a shadow, a ghost haunting the edges of a bright, boisterous world. Her heart began to ache, drawing her back to the stark reality of parting from Carlos, the sound of his laughter now replaced by the roar of strangers who danced without her. Tears pooled in her eyes as couples fluttered around her, lost in their own worlds. With every sway, Maria was reminded of shared moments that would never return. Each melodic note tightened the grip of sorrow in her chest, and she felt as if she were drowning in the tide of vibrant humanity surrounding her. In a wave of desperation, Maria made an excuse to step away. "I just need a moment," she murmured to Eleanor, her voice wavering. The positivity of the arena turned into a storm, and she slipped into the cooler night outside, where the cacophony faded into a distant hum. Leaning against the building's wall, Maria let the tears fall, tasting the salt of her grief. With the city lights twinkling like distant stars, she found herself wishing for Carlos, the laughter, the playful banter, the companionship. Each sorrowful memory was a reminder of what had been. The weight of it all pressed heavily against her heart. "Why is it so hard to let go?" she whispered aloud, feeling utterly alone. Suddenly her phone buzzed, its urgent reminder of the world waiting inside. A text from Elena blinked on her screen. "Where are you? Come back, you're missed." A pang of warmth mixed with guilt washed over her. She could envision her friend searching for her, unwavering in concern. "Carlos would want me to let this in," she thought, her resolve slowly returning. Taking a grounding breath, Maria adjusted herself, wiping the remnants of her tears away. "It's time to go back," she murmured, steeling herself for the reunion with the crowd. As she stepped back inside, the atmosphere shifted. Bright lights twinkled and music surged anew. It began to feel like a tapestry of emotions, interlaced with a thread of hope. The crowd continued to pulse with life, laughter and joy igniting the air. Eleanor spotted her instantly, relief flooding her features as she rushed to Maria's side. "There you are! Come on, join us! You don't have to do this alone," she encouraged, the sincerity lighting up Maria's heart. "Thank you," Maria replied, her voice steadier now. The encouragement of her friend rekindled a flicker of hope. As George Strait took the stage again, the familiar chords of a melodic ballad flowed through the air. It was one of their favorites, and Maria closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her like a gentle wave. The lyrics stirred her spirit, awakening flickers of joy married to her grief. Memories flooded back, nights spent dancing in their living room, feeling indestructible in each other's arms. She sensed a blend of joy and sorrow woven together, whispering subtly of a life lived fully. With each note, Maria felt a renewed strength. "Music is here to heal," she endured silently, embracing the communal love that pulsed through the crowd. The concert felt both an end and a beginning. Carlos's spirit danced alongside her in the crowd as the music twined through her heart. She began to sway with Elena once again, letting remnants of sorrow mix with sudden laughter. The threads of life intertwined seamlessly as she found her footing. In the sanctuary of their memories, Maria discovered a flicker of resilience, recognizing that love, despite its complexities, always remained. Through the rhythm and melodies, she could carry Carlos with her, not as a shadow of loss, but as a testament of love that would forever illuminate her path. "Together we can find our way," she thought, looking at Elena as the music swelled around them. Under the starlit sky, she felt the echo of their shared dreams rise anew, a beautiful reminder that life, in all its forms, continued to beat with the rhythm of hope, love, and connection. As the final notes of the last song lingered in the air, the arena erupted into cheers, a collective heartbeat celebrating the magic of live music and companionship. Maria clutched Elena's hand, both exhilarated and exhausted. A warmth blossomed in her chest, easing the sorrow that had once felt insurmountable. The sound of applause became a balm, the collective joy around her inescapably restorative. "Did you feel that?" Eleanor asked, her voice bubbling with excitement. "That was incredible. Thank you for coming back." Maria nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I'm so glad I did. I really needed this." The words struck her as true. The concert had not only paid homage to Carlos, but in its warmth it rekindled light within her spirit. Together, they meandered through the thinning crowd, the euphoria still electrifying the air. Street vendors were packing up their carts, but the magical energy lingered like an echo. As they reached the entrance, a familiar face caught Maria's eye. A young couple sitting on the steps, soaking in the post-concert glow. A memory rushed back. She and Carlos had been just like them, wrapped up in the moment, love ever present. "Let's take a picture," she said suddenly, an impulse sparked by nostalgia. Elena beamed, and they posed against the backdrop of the dimly lit arena. The camera clicked, capturing a moment that felt alive, vibrant, a snapshot of resilience and rebirth. "Here's to new beginnings," Elena said, as they huddled closer, her finger brushing the screen to capture the photo. With a hint of mischief, she added, "and to carrying the spirit of those we love with us." Maria held the image close, treasuring the moment shared with her friend. Despite the absence of Carlos, she felt something remarkable unfold within her, a new purpose blossoming. For so long she had been entrenched in memory, tethered to past pain, but tonight had illuminated a path forward, a reminder of love unchanging, flowing through music and friendships. As they navigated the darkened streets, Maria opened up about her emotions, allowing the words to flow. "I miss him so much, Elena. It's like he's everywhere and nowhere at once." Elena listened intently, her eyes understanding and compassionate. "I can only imagine. It's okay to feel lost, but it's also okay to begin to heal. Carlos wouldn't want you to be burdened with that pain alone." With each step, the world felt more alive. Maria shared stories of Carlos, the way they would converse about their hopes and dreams over dinner, his laughter that echoed off the kitchen walls. Somehow, talking about him made the memories less daunting, transforming grief into a warm embrace rather than a heavy cloak. "I want to honor him," Maria whispered as they strolled further, the city lights twinkling like fireflies in the warm night. "I want to live for both of us." Elena nodded, squeezing Maria's hand, a reminder of friendship and support. Before long, they found a cozy cafe that still buzzed with the spirit of the concert. They settled into plush chairs, ordering steaming cups of coffee that warmed their hands and hearts. The cafe was filled with a diverse crowd, and the mixed sounds of laughter, conversations, and clinking dishes felt revitalizing. As they sipped their drinks, Maria glanced around, her eyes landing on a small stage in the corner, a lone guitar resting against the microphone stand. "What do you think?" she asked, an idea blooming. "Should we sing?" Elena's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you serious? You haven't sung in ages." "I haven't, but maybe tonight is the night." "Let's do it for Carlos," Maria said, feeling courage swell within her. The thought of standing in front of others sent a nervous thrill through her, but it felt right. As they approached the stage, Maria could feel the eyes of others on them, but rather than shrink, she inhaled deeply, standing taller. The guitarist looked over, intrigued. "Ladies, you ready to share a song?" Maria nodded, the corners of her lips curving into a determined smile. With each passing moment, the weight began to lift. They picked a familiar tune, one that Carlos had loved. Maria felt the guitar against her fingertips, the wood warm and inviting, and when she began to sing, it was as if the entire room melted away. Her voice broke through the air like a ray of sunshine after a storm, clawing its way to the surface after being buried in darkness. The notes flowed, mingling with memories, grief transforming into joy, and she felt Carlos within that passage. He enveloped her spirit, urging her to let go of the fear and embrace the song, a vessel of love, of life, of memories woven into the tapestry of today. Elena harmonized beside her, their voices blending perfectly, lifting the cafe into a realm of shared experience. Other patrons began to sway, leaning in closer to listen, their attentiveness a gentle balm to Maria's nerves. In that moment she was alive, not as a shadow of who she had been after the loss, but as a living testament to the love that lingered within her. As the last notes faded into the evening air, the cafe erupted in applause. Maria's heart thundered with exhilaration, not merely for the cheers but for the release, the catharsis that washed through her. She beamed, meeting Elena's radiant gaze, their joy palpable. In that cafe, surrounded by strangers who had become part of her story in that single moment, Maria understood something profound. Love never truly dies. It transforms, reshaping experiences, feeding new beginnings. And tonight, through the language of music, she had allowed a piece of Carlos to dance freely once more. As they left the cafe, laughter trailing behind them, the world seemed brighter, colors sharper, the air sweeter. The memories no longer felt like chains but threads that wove her to the present and the future. Together with Elena, she whispered into the winds of change, "This is just the beginning." The weeks that followed the concert blossomed into a beautiful awakening for Maria. Each day felt like a tentative step forward, a journey leading her to rediscover the essence of life, grief, and love. The music that had once felt laced with sorrow now sang with hope, its melodies echoing through her heart and guiding her toward meaningful moments. With Elena by her side, Maria started exploring her passions in their small town, rekindling not only friendships but also forgotten dreams. They attended local music gatherings and small performances, each note sparking a flicker of inspiration. The magic of music was undeniable. It encompassed her, inviting her to write and create again. In the stillness of her room, Maria picked up her guitar, the familiar weight comforting against her body, and began to strum. Her fingers moved deftly over the strings, crafting melodies that mirrored her newfound spirit. Lyrics flowed as if they had been waiting patiently for her heart to unlock. With every song she penned, she released a weight, pouring her grief into words that transformed into verses of resilience, love, and rebirth. "Remembering him is part of who I am," she whispered to herself one evening as she finished a song entitled Lines of Love. She could feel Carlos's presence in every lyric, every chord, an echo of the life they shared, sparking both joy and longing. One Saturday afternoon, Maria and Elena decided to host a small open mic night at the cafe where they had sung a few weeks earlier. They plastered colorful flyers around town, inviting local artists and musicians to share their talents. Excitement mixed with trepidation, Maria understood firsthand how powerful vulnerability could be, and she hoped to create a space where others could embrace their love for music. The evening of the open mic arrived, and the cafe buzzed with anticipation. The familiar scent of coffee and pastries filled the air, but there was something more, an electric excitement that coursed through the small crowd. As patrons filtered in, Maria and Elena exchanged shy smiles, both feeling the thrill of possibility. Maria stood backstage, her heart racing as she watched the first performer take the stage. A young man strummed his guitar, his voice unsteady at first, but soon his confidence grew. The audience leaned in, captivated by his story, resonating with the raw emotion that he shared. Maria's heart swelled, realizing how vital it was to have moments like these, shared stories that connected them all through the language of music. After several performances, it was finally Maria's turn. She felt a mix of nervous excitement and sorrow as she approached the microphone. The room hushed and the weight of anticipation surrounded her like a cloak. She gripped the microphone, her hands slightly trembling as she scanned the faces in the audience. The sight of Elena radiating pride brought her solace. Gathering her courage, Maria began to play Lines of Love. At first, her voice quivered, but with each note, emotions poured forth like a current of warmth, wrapping around her audience. The words carved pathways through her heart, expressing the ache of loss intertwined with gratitude for the love she had known. As she sang, memories flowed vividly, evenings spent under the stars with Carlos, sharing dreams and laughter. The song became a conduit for all that she had lost and all that she had gained. She could feel Carlos's spirit dancing with her across the stage, filling her with strength. And as she finished her final chord, a wave of applause erupted, sweeping through her like a warm tide. Leaving the stage, Maria was met with Elena's open arms. "That was beautiful. You were incredible," she exclaimed, tears shining in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you." Maria realized in that moment that she wasn't just singing for herself, but for everyone who had loved and lost, everyone who needed to hear that healing was possible even through their pain. Stepping back into the crowd, she felt the power of shared experience, of vulnerability, binding them together in ways that words alone could never express. As the night continued, musicians played, and the laughter flowed. Maria watched people share their stories, a tapestry of pain threaded with hope and laughter weaving through the air. The essence of community pulsed forward, reminding her that they were all in this journey of life together, no one truly alone. With each performance, Maria found herself looking forward to her next song, drawing strength from the connections forged throughout the evening. The open mic night became a regular event, a heartbeat of love echoing through the cafe as creativity bloomed around them. She also began volunteering at the local community center to support those who had experienced loss. Sharing her story, she discovered that by helping others carry their burdens, her own heart grew lighter. Maria facilitated music workshops where anyone could come and find solace, a renewal of spirit through song. She became a beacon, encouraging others to express their stories, helping them find courage, and instilling within them the belief that healing lay within the embrace of community. One day, as she sorted through songs in the comfort of her room, Maria came across an old journal full of dreams she and Carlos had shared. She flicked through pages, laughter bubbling up as she recalled all their playful aspirations. In that moment, an idea sparked like electricity. She would compile a collection of her songs, intermingled with their memories, and share them widely. Driven by the love woven into her heart, Maria began to set her project in motion. With the commitment of her loved ones and growing support from her community, she worked diligently, crafting a small album that encapsulated all that she had traversed: grief, love, and the journey back to herself. Could music be a bridge back to her dreams? She wondered, feeling the rhythm of inspiration beneath her fingertips. Each melody, each lyric, became a testament to Carlos's love, a vessel for healing, community, and acceptance of both loss and joy. And so, Maria found herself on a path anew, one where memories transformed into expressions of love unbound, resting not just in the past, but lighting a way forward. She embraced each step, knowing all that she had lost had not disappeared but had instead taken on new life in her heart, propelling her forward on a journey of healing and hope. Over the next few weeks, Maria dedicated herself to the creation of her album. The cafe, with its soft hum of conversations and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee, became her sanctuary. She turned a cozy corner into a creative haven where melodies and lyrics flowed from her heart. Each strum of her guitar reminded her of Carlos, the laughter they shared, the late-night talks under the stars, and the dreams they used to weave. The songwriting process felt cathartic, each note lifting some of the weight of grief from her shoulders. One evening, as she flipped through an old journal filled with dreams they had once shared, a spark ignited within her. The playful aspirations penned in faded ink reminded her of how alive they had felt together. "What if I could share these songs, share memories of him with all of you?" she mused, excitement bubbling inside her. It was the perfect way to honor Carlos's spirit, while also bringing light to her own journey of healing. Determined, she began organizing an album release party at the cafe. It would be a celebration of love, resilience, and the community that had risen around her as she navigated through the labyrinth of grief. The event would symbolize not just her triumphs, but the collective stories of those who had experienced loss. As the days passed and the event approached, anticipation hung in the air. The cafe transformed into a cozy venue filled with soft fairy lights, inviting laughter and familiar faces. Maria felt a rush of nervous energy mixed with profound gratitude for the people who had supported her through her darkest moments. On the night of the event, the crowd began filling the cafe with warmth and camaraderie. Friends, mentors, and new faces all gathered, reflecting the community they had built together. Maria's nerves danced within her, mingling with excitement. Right before she stepped on stage, she noticed Elena busy checking the last-minute details, wearing a beaming smile that radiated encouragement. "You've got this, Maria," Elena whispered, offering her a hug filled with warmth. "Just breathe. They're excited to hear you." Gathering her thoughts, Maria took a deep breath. This was not simply a performance, but an opening of her heart, an invitation for others to connect with their own stories. With renewed strength, she stepped onto the stage, clutching her guitar. The bright eyes of her audience met hers, and a hush settled in the room. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Maria began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Tonight is special for all of us. This album is a piece of my heart, a celebration of love, loss, and healing. Each song tells a story, and I hope that in sharing them, we can honor what we've lost while also celebrating what remains." As she began to strum the opening chords of Lines of Love, the atmosphere thickened with powerful emotion. Her voice soared and memories washed over her. This was not only about Carlos, but also about the shared experiences that bound them all together. The audience found themselves entranced, feeling the raw vulnerability infused into each word. With every song that followed, Maria could feel the heartbreak, laughter, and connection rising in waves. Heads nodded, eyes glistened, and people swayed, allowing their own stories to intermingle with the melodies. She observed members of her community, the individuals who had brought their own struggles and stories to her workshops, experiencing the beauty of shared healing through music. During a brief pause between songs, Maria took the opportunity to connect further. This next piece on Sweet Ordinary Days reflects on the beauty found in the little things, the laughter shared over coffee, sunsets viewed hand in hand, and the simple pleasure of being together, she shared softly. Her words resonated deeply with the crowd, inviting personal reflections. As she played, the room fell completely silent, embracing the gentle nostalgia. People imagined their own cherished memories, moments shared with loved ones who were still present and those who had passed. Maria felt a wave of connection, the audience breathing together as one, creating a safe space for shared vulnerability. The evening continued its rhythm, and as Maria performed her final song, a spontaneous sense of jubilation filled the cafe. Guests applauded fervently, their cheers mingling with her own emotions. Stepping off the stage, she found herself wrapped in Elena's warm embrace. "You were phenomenal, so powerful," Elena exclaimed, her eyes shining with admiration. As the cafe filled with laughter and chatter, Maria felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. This night had transformed her, replacing sadness with a burst of love and connection. She had reclaimed not only her voice, but also her place within her community, an integral part of its heartbeat. In the days following the concert, the ripple effects of the night continued to flourish. People spoke to Maria about how the evening had touched their hearts, prompting them to share their own stories of grief and healing. They congratulated her on her bravery for opening up. Somehow, she had given them permission to do the same. She decided to keep the momentum going, inviting others to join her for regular music sessions at the cafe. The gatherings quickly blossomed into a community, where stories were shared and connections deepened. Each session became a comforting ritual, reinforcing the belief that healing lay within vulnerability and togetherness. With the completion of her album, Maria rediscovered that music had become a bridge connecting her past with her present, a way to celebrate love, interwoven with life's complexities. The nights spent creating melodies became memory-filled evenings, threaded with laughter and healing. As she embraced each day, Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude for all she had learned through pain. Yes, Carlos had been a big part of her story, but so were those who had gathered around her to support her journey. With newfound strength, she resolutely stepped into this next chapter, knowing that love could truly inspire resilience and connection among all who dared to share their stories. The future glistened with possibilities, vivid and abundant, wrapped in the embrace of a community that celebrated life in all its beautiful messiness. Months passed, and the cafe flourished as a community hub, alive with creativity and connection. Maria organized regular music sessions where friends and newcomers alike came together to share their stories and songs. Each gathering became a nurturing space, filled with laughter, tears, and a sense of belonging. On a crisp autumn evening, the cafe sparkled under the soft glow of fairy lights, creating a cozy atmosphere perfect for reflection. Maria prepared for a special gathering, encouraging participants to take the microphone and share their personal journeys. The excitement in the air was palpable, and she knew tonight could be transformative for everyone present. As people began to arrive, the cafe buzzed with anticipation and chatter. Maria's heart raced. She felt a mixture of gratitude and nervous energy. "Tonight is about all of us," she said to the assembled crowd. "Let's create a beautiful tapestry of our experiences, one that honors our resilience and shared humanity." Throughout the evening, individuals took turns stepping onto the stage, their voices trembling yet resolute. An elderly man spoke fondly of his late wife, recounting the simple joys they had savored together. A young woman shared her own struggle with grief, revealing how music had become her lifeline. Each story resonated, forging deeper connections among those gathered, a shared understanding binding them closer. As the evening progressed, Maria felt a swell of inspiration. She decided to share a new song, a celebration of the courage she saw in her community. With her guitar in hand, she took center stage again and began to play. "This one is for all of you," she announced warmly, her fingers dancing across the strings. The melody wrapped around the audience, each note carrying messages of hope and strength. When she finished, an eerie silence enveloped the room before applause erupted, heartfelt and thunderous. One by one, people began to express their gratitude, voices rising in unison. "Thank you." Their words filled the air, resonating with the collective healing unfolding within those cafe walls. Amidst the joyful camaraderie, one woman stood up, her eyes glistening. "Thank you for creating this space. You give us a place to connect and heal," she said softly. Others echoed her sentiments, articulating how breakthroughs in their own stories had emerged through Maria's willingness to share her journey. As the night drew to a close, Maria felt an immense sense of fulfillment wash over her. The cafe had transformed into a sanctuary, a vibrant family forged through shared experiences and vulnerability. The energy in the room was palpable, a testament to the strength her community derived from one another. Elena approached Maria, her eyes sparkling with pride. "Look at what's happening here. You've given people a voice and they're using it," she exclaimed, beaming. "It's not just me," Maria replied, overwhelmed with gratitude. "We're all doing this together. Each story holds power." After the last guests left, Maria stayed for a moment, reflecting on the evening she helped cultivate. The laughter and connections felt alive in the air, both a memory and a promise of what lay ahead. Here, in this space, love had become a radiant beacon, intertwined with the heartbeats of all who dared to come together. As autumn leaves fell outside, Maria looked up at the stars peeking through the night sky, feeling hope welling up inside her. The world ahead shimmered with new possibilities, each note of her music leading the way toward endless horizons. This was just the beginning. With the candlelight flickering softly and her community gathered together in spirit, Maria knew she was ready to embrace whatever new adventures awaited. She was armed with the understanding that grief could coexist with joy, love could thrive amidst loss, and through the power of connection, new stories would continue to be written. With hope as her guiding star, Maria stepped confidently into the future, ready to explore all that life had to offer, assured that every experience would only add to the rich tapestry of love she continued to weave.